Hello creative minds, welcome to today's project. We are going to be making this beautiful outfit that you see here. It was made with an African print, and that's exactly what we are going to be using to recreate this. Okay, if this looks like something you're interested in, kindly stick with me to the end and let's get right into the video. Don't forget to hit the subscription button. So I've gone ahead to place my pattern just like so. I've gone ahead to draw my starting line. So I'm going to be imputing my chest line. I'm also going to be imputing my under bust just as seen, and I'm also going to be imputing my waistline. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and draw a straight line across all these measurements that I have imputed. I'm also going to be labeling them so you can see my bust points, under bust, and waistline. Next, we are going to go ahead and draw out our shoulder line, and I'm going to be coming down by 8 inches because that's exactly my armhole measurements. Okay, so I'm going to label that my chest line. Okay, then I'm going to draw a straight line across to meet my shoulder line that I've drawn. I'm also going to be going out by 3 inches for my neck depth, and I'm going to go down by 1 inches for my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to divide what I have at that point by 2 and I'll mark it. I'll go out by 1/4 of an inch, then I'll draw a straight line and curve it to meet my armhole line. Okay, don't forget to get your armhole line is your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to be marking my darts all the way down. To get your darts measurement is your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line across. Then I'm going to be going out by 1/2 an inch at my under bust, then 1.5 inches at the other side. So I'm doing 1/2 inches at my center front and 1.5 inches at the other side. Then I'm going to connect it with the curve to my bust point. I'm going to highlight all this with my marker so that you can see clearly. So next I'm going to divide what I have at my shoulder by 2 and I'm going to be marking it. Then I will connect it with a line to meet my chest line. Okay, this is going to be a guide for our dress. So I'm going to go up a little bit by 1.5 inches. That's where I'm going to be connecting my Sweetheart neckline. So now I'm going to be going out. I'm going to connect it with my marker so you can see the line. Then I'm going to curve it a little bit below my chest line. Okay, this depends on how open you want your Sweetheart neckline to be. So now I'm going to do a little bit of tightening by 1/2 an inch at that point and go down by my chest line by 1 inch, and I'll connect it like so. I'm going to be cutting out those parts you see me asterisk. Then next I'm going to go ahead and include all my circumference measurements. That's my round bust measurement, my round under bust measurements, my round waist measurement, and I'm going to be adding the dart intake that I took out. Okay, so after doing all this, I'm going to go ahead and connect with a straight line. Okay, I'm going to impute my under bust measurements and I'm going to replace the dart intake of 2 inches. I'm going to replace it and I'm going to be connecting with a line as I did here. So I'm going to be taking a dart. I'm going to be doing a little bit of tightening at the underbust area. When I measured my you know that our front pattern is not the same with the back. So for me, my waistline is 18 inches and for the back is 17 inches. So that 1 inches, I'm going to be taking it out and I'm going to be closing it as my bust darts. Okay, so it's going to rhyme with my back pattern by the time I'm done drafting, so I will not have an excess of 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and cut out as seen. Okay, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and open the darts. Like I said, it depends on you. If you want to go ahead and not close the dart, you can do that, but for me, I'm going to be closing the dart, so I'm going to just open it a little bit to my bust points just as seen. I'll also open this part that you see me open just to enable me to be able to close my bust dart properly, and I'm going to be taping it. Then I'll cut out. I'll label this my center front and my side front, and I'll cut out just as seen. So for our back pattern, I'll just go ahead and label all the parts that I did at the front part. I'm just going to label my chest line and my waistline. Okay, I will not be imputing another bust for this part. I'm just going to be imputing my bust point and my waistline. Then I'm going to go ahead and insert my armhole line, which is going to serve as my chest line, and I'll draw a straight line across. Okay, I'll go ahead and go down for my shoulder slope and I'll connect it. Then I'll divide what I have there by 2 and I'll create my armhole curve. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and measure my round bust circumference. Then I'll go ahead and insert my armhole curve. So I'm going to be going out by 4 inches for my dart line. Then so for this is the back, I'm just going to go out by 1 inches at the waistline. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line at a little bit to my chest line just as seen. Okay, then I'm going to place my side front like so to be able to get what I have at my shoulder line. Then I'll mark exactly it like so. Then I'll connect it to my chest line. So I'll curve it like so. Remember the back is a little bit deep, so I'm just going to just correct the curve with my free hand just as seen. That's going to be our back pattern. Okay, next I'm just going to go ahead and insert all my circumference measurements and I'll connect with a straight line. I'm going to replace the darts that I took. I'll measure what I have there and I'll replace as well. I'm also going to go ahead and label this my side back. Then I'll cut out. So I'm going to be closing my darts. If you don't want to close yours, you can as well just cut everything out. Then when you are sewing your dress, you close it, you sew your darts. But for me, I'm going to be closing the darts like so. Okay, I'm just going to illustrate it for you to see how I'm going to be closing it. So when I'm cutting on my fabric, I'm going to close it like so, and I'll cut out my fabric. So that's basically all for the cutting of the front parts. So I've gone ahead to cut it out on my fabric, leaving ½ inch on the side and 1 inch at the down part. I also did the same for the back pattern, and I'll be using the same fabric for the lining. Okay, so I've also gone ahead to pad the front. So I'm going to go ahead and join them together. Like I said, I'll be using the same fabric for the lining of this dress. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut same as well on the fabric, and I padded the right, that is the front part. So I'm going to go ahead and join all the sides together just as I'm doing, and I'll do the same for the lining part as well. So I'll go to the ironing table and I'll go to my sewing machine and I'll run a stitch. I'll do the same for the lining just like I said. So after doing that, I went ahead to press open my dress and my pad parts just as seen. I went ahead to give it a good press. So now I'm going to go ahead and join the lining to the top, all right, ensuring that I pin the sweetheart area together neatly all the way to the top parts, and I'll go to my sewing machine and I'll join it together. I'll also go ahead to join the sides as well and the armhole. So for the back pattern, I'll go ahead and place the lining on it, and I'll go ahead and join this part and the side, that is the center back. So this is what it looks like by the time I was done joining. I've gone ahead to give it a good press. You can see how neat it came out. I've also gone ahead to join the back as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and join the shoulders. Okay, so just take a look at the way I'm joining it. So I'm going to use the back to close up the shoulder like you see me do. So by the time you join it this way, the front part will be inside the back part. Okay, so when you are pinning, ensure that you do not pin the front parts with it, so you don't go and sew the front parts. So just go ahead and pin it all the way down. If you make it this way, it's going to give you a very neat outlook by the time you're done. So just go ahead and pin it down like so, and this is what it will look like by the time you're done pinning. So you're going to just go ahead and sew. Don't forget that the front will be inside the back by the time you're done pinning. All right, I'll do the same for the other side as well, but first of all, I'm going to go ahead and join this part, and I'll come back for you to see how it looks like. So after joining this part, I went ahead to give it a notch all the way around. All right, I went ahead to notch it just as I'm doing. Then I went ahead to cut out excesses that I had and still notch some more. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. You can see the way it's looking very beautiful. So this is the outcome. This is how it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good press. So now I'll go ahead and do for the other side. So we're going to go ahead and cut our skirt parts. Okay, so I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 4, leaving 1 inch out for my zipper. So I've also gone ahead to rule my starting line. So I'm going to go ahead and measure my hip points and draw a straight line across. Then I'll go ahead and measure the length of my skirt. Okay, so the length of my skirt is 30 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be marking 32 inches, 2 extra inches for the hemming of the down parts. So next I'm going to come out at the other end. That's the part that I left my zipper allowance. I'm going to go ahead and measure from that side, and I'll measure my waist measurement, and I'll add 1 inch allowance, 1.5 inch allowance for joining. Okay, I'm not going to be putting a dart to this, so I later reduced the inches, okay, because I didn't want to add a dart. So I later imputed 1/2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to be measuring my hip measurement, and I'm adding 1 inches for joining. Okay, I'm adding 1 inches because I already have 1 inches at the other side for the zipper. So half an inch will be used to join the full skirt together on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and curve it all the way to the down parts. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut out. So after cutting out for the front piece, I'm going to go down by half an inch just to give it that curve. Then I'll just cut it in a slopey way to the top. So now like I said, I'm using the lining as well I'm using the fabric for the lining of this. So I'm going to, when I cut out the lining, I cut it 1 inches below the normal inches of the main skirt. So I'm going to join the down parts like so. Then I will just ensure that I align the lining to the front piece just as seen. So by the time I align it, you see it's going to bend like this because I cut it 1 inches lesser. So I'm going to go ahead and sew it. So by the time I finish sewing it, this is what it looks like. I also did that for the back as well, and this is the front. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and join our skirt parts to the top parts. All right, so just go ahead and place them like so. So after joining it, this is what it looks like. So next step is for us to measure where we want our zip to be. Then we will now go ahead and measure how long we want our slits, then give it a joining. So I'll measure it at that point. Then for my slit, I went up by 12 inches. So now I'm going to be joining this part together. So for our front design, I'm going to just mark a midpoint here. I'm going to be doing a 5 inches long, so I'll be doing 2.5 inches on both sides. I'll do the same here, 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and I'll draw a straight line like a cross. Then I'm going to go ahead and just make the design like so. Okay, you can go ahead and use your free hand to just cut on your fabric if you feel you can. I'm just doing this to illustrate so you can see how you can also achieve this. Okay, after cutting out, I realized that it wasn't so, some were more like bigger than some, so I went ahead to also give it a good trimming as well. So you just go ahead and trim it out, then you cut on your fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, then I used a lighter to just close up the rough edges. Then I placed it like so, and I'm going to go ahead and iron it using a hemming gum under. So by the time I was done ironing it, I'm not going to be beading, so I just have this little bead that you can iron on it. So I'm just going to place it and iron them on it. All right, so you can go ahead and bead if you want to, if you're up for it. So by the time I was done, so I'm going to go ahead and fix my zipper, and I'll go ahead and join the sides, and that will be all for this tutorial. So this is the outcome, and this is what it looks like. I hope you learned one or two. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing for more sewing tutorials like this. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.